There's a specific kind of grief nobody warns you about. It's not the grief of losing someone to death. It's not even the grief of a dramatic falling out, the slammed doors, the screaming, the final text message. It's quieter than that. It's the grief of sitting across from someone you used to feel completely at home with and realizing you are now a stranger to each other. No fight, no betrayal, just distance. And somehow, you feel like the one who did something wrong. Welcome back. If you're new here, this channel is a space where we explore the deeper, often uncomfortable terrain of the human mind. The parts of psychology that explain why we feel things we were never given language for. Today's topic is one of the most requested I've ever received: the guilt of outgrowing others. We talk constantly about personal growth like it's a clean, triumphant thing. Vision boards, morning routines, leveling up. But nobody talks about what it actually costs. Relationally, emotionally, neurologically. Because the truth is, when you grow, not everyone grows with you. And when that happens, your nervous system doesn't celebrate. It panics. And then it guilts you into questioning whether the growth was even worth it. Let's unpack why. Here's something most people don't realize. Your brain is wired to prioritize belonging over authenticity. From an evolutionary standpoint, this makes complete sense. For hundreds of thousands of years, being rejected from your tribe was a death sentence. Your nervous system learned at a biological level that fitting in was survival, that changing too much, standing out too much, becoming too much was dangerous. So when you start to grow, when you start setting boundaries, choosing differently, wanting more, a part of your brain reads that as a threat signal. Not because growth is bad, but because growth disrupts belonging. And here's where the guilt comes in. When you change and a relationship starts to fade, your nervous system doesn't file it under natural evolution. It files it under you did something wrong.
Because in the old wiring, the primal tribal wiring, you are the one who changed. Therefore, you are the one responsible for the disruption. Therefore, you should fix it. This is why so many people abandon their own growth just to preserve the comfort of relationships that no longer serve them. Not because they're weak, because they're human, because their nervous system is doing exactly what it was designed to do.
Understanding this doesn't eliminate the guilt, but it does mean the guilt is not evidence that you did something wrong. It's evidence that you're alive and wired for connection and changing anyway. That takes more courage than most people will ever give you credit for. Now, I want to make something very important clear, because this is where people get confused, and confusion breeds unnecessary guilt. Not every relationship that fades is one you abandoned, and not every relationship you choose to leave is a betrayal. There are two very different things happening when you outgrow someone. The first is natural drift. This is when two people simply evolve in different directions. You were both at a similar place in life. Maybe similar wounds, similar coping mechanisms, similar worldviews. And over time, as you did the work, your paths diverged. There's no villain in this story. There's no crime. It's like two rivers that start at the same source and over miles flow toward different oceans. Neither river is wrong for its direction. The second is self-betrayal avoidance. This is when you consciously choose not to shrink yourself anymore, when you stop laughing at jokes that hurt, when you stop tolerating dynamics that drain you, when you start requiring relationships to be mutual rather than one-sided. And in doing so, certain people self-select out. They were comfortable with the version of you that needed less, asked for less, was less. your growth becomes inconvenient for them. And when they pull away, your guilt kicks in and says, "See, you ruined it." But here's the reframe. You didn't ruin the relationship. You stopped ruining yourself to maintain it. That is not abandonment. That is survival of a different kind. The question to ask yourself isn't, did I make them uncomfortable? The question is, was I being honest? Was I being real? Did I act with integrity, even if the outcome was painful? Guilt is appropriate when we've genuinely wronged someone. It's a moral signal, and it has value. But guilt is not appropriate as a punishment for becoming yourself. That's not guilt doing its job. That's guilt being weaponized against you, often by your own mind, sometimes by others. Let's go a little deeper. One of the core reasons outgrowing others hurts so much is something psychologists call relational identity, the parts of our sense of self that are tied to specific relationships. When you've known someone for years, part of how you understand yourself is through them. They know the version of you that existed before the therapy, before the healing, before the breakthroughs. And there's something deeply comforting about that. Being known over time feels like evidence that you exist, that you matter, that your history is real. So when you outgrow that person, it's not just the relationship you're losing. It's a witness to your former self. It's a mirror. And even if that mirror was showing you a distorted image, even if it was reflecting back smallness or limitation or old pain, losing it can feel like losing proof of your own existence. This is why the grief of outgrowing others can feel disproportionate. It's not just about missing the person. It's about grieving the version of yourself that lived inside that relationship. And here's what makes it even more complex. Sometimes the people we outgrow are people who were part of our survival. People who were there during our darkest chapters. People who held us when we couldn't hold ourselves. We feel we owe them permanence. Like loyalty means never changing in ways that make them feel left behind. But here's the truth that took me a long time to understand. Gratitude and permanence are not the same thing. You can be deeply, genuinely grateful for what someone meant to you at a particular chapter of your life, and still acknowledge that the chapter has ended. Honoring the past doesn't require you to live in it. The relationship was real. The love was real. The growth is real too. All of it can be true at once. Let's talk about something that's uncomfortable, but necessary. Sometimes the people in your life don't just quietly drift away when you grow. Sometimes they push back. They criticize the new you. They say you've changed, and not as a compliment. They accuse you of being arrogant or cold or too good for them now. And this too generates guilt, because you think, if they're this hurt, I must have done something wrong. But let's look at what's actually happening psychologically. When you grow, when you heal, when you set boundaries, when you demand more from life, it acts like a mirror for the people around you. It reflects back to them the work they haven't done yet, the limits they've accepted, the life they haven't yet dared to want. And for some people, that reflection is inspiring. It motivates them. But for others, it's threatening, because your growth implies the possibility of their growth. And that possibility is terrifying if they're not ready to face it. So instead of sitting with that discomfort internally, they externalize it. They make your growth the problem. They make you the problem. This is not your fault. And it is not your responsibility to shrink back down so that others feel less confronted by your expansion. That said, and this is important, Growth doesn't give us permission to be condescending, dismissive, or unkind. If you've genuinely changed and find yourself looking down on people you've left behind, that's not growth. That's ego wearing growth's clothing. True psychological maturity always comes with more compassion, not less. More understanding of human limitation, not less. But if you're showing up with warmth and honesty and someone still punishes you for your progress, that is their work to do, not yours to undo. So what do you do with this guilt? Because I'm not going to tell you to just let it go. That's not how it works. Guilt that's tied to grief, tied to love, tied to years of shared history, you can't just dissolve it with a mindset shift. You have to move through it. Here's how. First, feel it fully. The guilt is asking for your attention. Don't bypass it. Don't rationalize it away immediately. Sit with it and ask, what is this guilt actually protecting? What am I afraid of losing? And have I already lost it? Sometimes what we feel is guilt is really grief wearing a mask. And grief needs to be honored, not suppressed. Second, audit the guilt. Ask yourself, did I act with integrity? Did I communicate? Did I try within reason? If yes, the guilt is not evidence of wrongdoing. It's evidence of caring. You can care deeply about someone and still not be able to stay in a relationship that requires you to be less than you are. Third, grieve the relationship without undoing the growth. You are allowed to miss people you've outgrown. You're allowed to feel sad that a chapter has ended. Grief and guilt are not the same emotion, but we often conflate them. Let yourself grieve. Don't let the grief convince you that the growth was a mistake. Fourth, build new belonging. One of the deepest fears underneath the guilt of outgrowing others is, if I keep becoming myself, will anyone want to know me? The answer is yes, but you have to be willing to be in the in-between, the lonely, uncertain space between who you were and who you're becoming, long enough to find the people who belong in your next chapter. That space is uncomfortable. It's also where everything important happens.
And fifth, extend compassion in both directions to the people you've grown away from. They are not bad people for staying where they are. They are human, doing their best with what they have. And to yourself, you are not a bad person for changing. You are doing the brave, difficult, necessary work of becoming. Here is what I want you to leave with today. Growth is not betrayal. Becoming is not abandonment. And the guilt you feel when you outgrow someone is not a verdict. It is a testament to the depth of your love and the courage it takes to honor both the relationship and your own becoming. The people who are meant to be in your life long-term won't be threatened by your evolution. They'll grow alongside you, or they'll cheer you on from a different distance, or they'll find their own path of becoming. But they won't ask you to shrink yourself as the price of staying. You are allowed to grow. You are allowed to change. You are allowed to become someone your old self wouldn't entirely recognize. That is not a loss. That is what being alive is for. If this video reached something in you, share it with someone who needs it. It might be the thing they needed to hear today. Subscribe if you are new, and I'll see you in the next one. Take care of yourself. Seriously.